Our pace of living leaves us little time for leisure. Our program will give you a chance to experience the fascinating world of traveling, extreme adventures, hunting and fishing. Each week we will take you to the most beautiful places of Kazakhstan. Today we set off in search of the most mysterious fishes of the river species of the Almaty region. Being native to southeastern Asia, the snakehead appeared in the water bodies of Kazakhstan 7 or 8 years ago. It started to inhabit the Sirdarya basin even earlier. It caused serious damage to the local river fauna there. In its origin in Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Burma and other countries of this region, this fish is considered delicatessen. In restaurants of Europe and the States that specialize in Orient cuisine, the demand for dishes made from the snakehead has always been high. High prices fuel intensive export of this fish to Western countries. Local fish cannot stand rivalry with the snakehead, as the latter has evolutionized in the fight of the survival of the fittest, armed with sharp teeth and being more aggressive than other species around. Being extremely hardy, snakehead can survive in old still waters poor in oxygen for a long time. They stay alive for a few hours being out of water. Initially, the natural habitat for these fish was the basin of rivers of the Far East from the Yangtze to the Amur. In the 1960s, from the Moscow Zoo, fewer than 100 fishes were brought and introduced to a fishing farm called Ganchirchik. The fish started to breed well and then reached the river Sirdarya. After a while, the snakehead, along with other carp species, was introduced to the rivers of Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan. Probably, the snakehead accidentally got into the basin of the Ili River from the territory of China, where the fish is bred in specialized farms. It might have entered the Ili when a Chinese dam was washed away. There is a hypothesis that says birds inhabiting river banks spread fish species by carrying the fish hard raw on their own paws. But this theory doesn't work regarding the snakehead, as it does not spawn because they are viviparous species. The snakehead is aggressive and not very cautious fish. Nevertheless, for successful fishing, one has to get acquainted with its biological features and behavior, and we have found the right place for that. The lake system of Old Jidel is overgrown with abundant vegetation, a kind of underwater garden, where instead of birds one can see fish, such as common carp, grass carp, catfish, aspen and pike perch. A few years ago, this local ecosystem was intruded by a non-native species. Snakeheads intruded the waters of Old Jidel. It is a ruthless and aggressive predator that starts to dominate the area as soon as it appears there. Today we try to catch the snakehead with famous underwater hunter Alexander Glushakov. Where we are now are plenty of water paths. I can't imagine it's possible to remember all of them, but Alexander knows them and orientates in these ana branches very well. We and Alexander sail in a small boat towards our lake along the curved creeks and ana branches. Now I understand why Alexander has chosen such a small boat. A bigger boat wouldn't have squeezed in these narrow labyrinths full of small islands. It is not easy to sail in this small boat, let alone a bigger one. We have arrived and are mooring. We will search for the snakehead now.
И вот мы приплыли на озеро, где ловятся змееголовы. Сейчас Александр покажет нам, как ловить змееголова, правильно?
Here we are in the lake where there are snakeheads. Now Alexander will show us how to catch this fish properly. The snakehead is an aggressive fish and is not very careful, but Alexander is saying that over the past few years of fishing for the snakehead, the fish has changed its behavior. Now snakeheads are not as carefree as they were a few years ago. As soon as they notice a hunting diver, they try to hide. We'll show it now, so that you can see it too. The lake is not very deep. In the middle of it, there are numerous small islands covered with canes. The water transparency is about 5 to 6 meters here. I've heard a lot of interesting stories about snakeheads, so that I can't wait to dive into the water to see this unusual species with my own eyes. We jump into the water and immediately find ourselves in a surreal underwater garden. Having swam for about 50 meters, we come across a cloud of small tadpoles. Alexander says that these are snakehead tadpoles, and their parents should be somewhere near them. Soon we see an adult snakehead. It has been watching this school of tadpoles. There must be 1,000 of them. We don't even try to count them, but we see that their number is significant. If 1 out of 10 of them survives, in 5 years these transparent tadpoles will become 1,000 predator species. The snakehead's parenting instinct is well developed, and sometimes they attack even underwater hunters that threaten the existence of their tadpoles.
Змей-голова, она сейчас, у нее маленькое потомство.
The snakehead is watching its little posterity that looks like a swarm of bees. It is accompanying its tadpoles and is ready to attack any species that dares to approach them. For the past 7 years, the number of snakehead has increased by hundreds of times, which is damaging the local river fauna. All legal kinds of fishing for the snakehead are allowed during the whole year in all water bodies of Kazakhstan, but even this does not make their number decrease. Alexander moves towards thick bushes quietly, trying not to make any noise with his flippers. The snakehead's behavior may be different. Some species behave aggressively, sticking their fins to threaten other fish. Initially, all snakeheads behaved in the same way. However, after a few years of intensive fishing for them, the fish starts to change its behavior. Some of them, as soon as they see a diver, hide in thick underwater vegetation.
Не так-то легко выходит на змей голову охотиться, да?
It's not very easy to catch the snakehead, is it? It isn't. The larger the fish is, the more careful it is. It hides in the grass as soon as it sees the hazard. This is an indirect evidence of the excellent ability of the fish to adjust to a new environment. The snakehead has quickly learned to react to new kinds of threat. It is quite possible that in the future these changes in their behavior will be saved at a genetic level, and probably it will be hard to catch the snakehead.
Сейчас поплывем дальше.
We'll sail further and we'll search for them there. We continue exploring the lake. The snakehead has noticed us and is leaving the place. Alexander tries to approach the shooting distance as quietly as possible and shoots. The shot is accurate. The arrow finds its target and the snakehead travels, being seriously wounded. Around the agonizing fish are muddy clouds. The snakehead is strong fish and it does not want to give up easily, and it is desperately fighting to survive. Eventually, Alexander gets his trophy hooked. It is not clear whether it is a male or female, as sexual dimorphism is not developed in fishes.
Пожалуй, больше всего, что интересует подводных охотников в вопросе касательно змееголова, это его максимальный вес.
Regarding snakeheads, hunters are mostly interested in its maximum weight. There are a lot of cook and bull stories about how huge snakeheads may be. Some underwater hunters say they got snakeheads weighing 40 and 140 kilograms, but Alexander says that the largest snakehead caught in this game reserve was 7 kilos. Here is a good one too. Alexander has just shot it. It has the same looks as the main character of the Alien 2 movie. I think here there's a lot of thick grass along the riverbank, so it is a good place for snakeheads to hide. We scan the underwater jungles for half an hour and then spot another snakehead. The snakehead is a territorial fish. Each couple has their own area and protects it from other species of its own kind. The size of such area depends on the abundance of food. Where the snakehead can find its prey, carassius, gudgeon, wobbler and young species of aspen. Where there are plenty of them, the snakehead's territory is no more than 20 to 50 meters. If there is not much food for them, the predator increases its hunting area. We leave the place for 200 meters and come across another large species of snakehead. This time our target is aggressive. It doesn't seem to be aware of the danger our gun imposes. Although this fish is not large, its posture meant to threaten us impresses us. It is a little scary when you look at this little dragon that is prepared to risk its own life to protect its litter. The second snakehead is on Alexander's harpoon. It gets dark and it's time to return home. Snakehead meat is tasty. Its texture is dense and has a reddish hue.
Симпатичный.
It's a nice snakehead and very tasty. We'll go back to the base camp to cook a Vietnamese dish. Okay, that's all for today. It's a pity we're not familiar with how to cook